me ask you something uncomfortable. When was the last time you finished a project, sent that final invoice, and then, a few days later, sent a follow-up message that said something like, "Hey, if you know anyone who could use my services, I'd really appreciate the referral." And then, nothing. Maybe a polite, "Of course, I'll keep you in mind." Maybe radio silence, maybe a thumbs up emoji that felt more like a door closing than a door opening. If that sounds familiar, you are not alone. And more importantly, it is not your fault, but it is your problem to fix. Here's what's actually happening in that moment. You've just asked for a referral at the single worst possible time. The project is over. The excitement has faded. The check has cleared. Your client has already mentally moved on to their next challenge, their next deadline, their next fire to put out. Think about it from their perspective. When you delivered your work, when they saw the results for the first time, when the campaign went live, when the website launched, when the deal closed, that was their peak excitement moment. That was the moment they were telling their spouse about you at dinner. That was the moment they were bragging to their business partner. That was the moment the referral was practically writing itself in their head. But you weren't there to capture it. Instead, you were heads down, finishing the deliverable, sending the invoice, and moving on to your next client. And by the time you circled back to ask for a referral, days later, maybe weeks later, that emotional peak had completely evaporated. This is what I call the peak excitement gap, and it is silently killing your referral pipeline. Here's the data that should make you sit up straight. Studies on customer advocacy consistently show that the likelihood of a referral drops by over 50% within just 72 hours of a positive experience if no action is taken to capture it. 72 hours, 3 days, that's how fast the window closes. And yet most service providers and agency owners are operating on a referral strategy that looks something like this. Finish the work, hope the client is happy, and then awkwardly ask for a favor weeks later when the emotional moment has long since passed. That is not a referral strategy. That is wishful thinking with a follow-up email. Now, I want to be clear about something. This is not about your quality of work. You might be absolutely exceptional at what you do. Your clients might genuinely love the results you deliver. The problem is not the product. The problem is the process, or more accurately, the complete absence of a process. Because here's the brutal truth about manual referral requests. They feel like favors. And when something feels like a favor, people procrastinate on it. They mean to do it. They intend to do it. But intention without a system is just a good idea that never happens. Your clients are busy. They have their own businesses to run, their own teams to manage, their own problems to solve. Asking them to manually think of someone, reach out to that person, explain what you do, vouch for your credibility, and then connect you. That is a 5-step cognitive task that you are hoping they will complete out of the goodness of their heart at a time when they are no longer emotionally activated about your work. The math simply does not work in your favor. And the worst part, every time you send that awkward referral request and get no response, it subtly damages the relationship. It shifts the dynamic from trusted partner to vendor who needs something from me. That is the opposite of the position you want to be in. So let's be honest about what the manual referral approach is really costing you. It's not just the leads you're not getting. It's the compounding cost of an empty pipeline. It's the feast or famine cycle that keeps you stuck in reactive mode. It's the hours you spend on outbound prospecting that you could be spending on client work or product development. It's the stress of wondering where the next client is coming from. Referrals are the highest converting, lowest cost leads in any service business. A referred prospect already trusts you before they've ever spoken to you. They close faster, they negotiate less, and they tend to become referral sources themselves. One good referral system, properly engineered, can be worth more to your business than any paid advertising campaign you will ever run, but only if you build it intentionally, only if you stop treating it as a bonus and start treating it as a system. The manual referral myth is this, that asking nicely at the end of a project is a referral strategy. It is not. It is a hope. And hope, as they say, is not a business plan. In the next section, we're going to talk about why this keeps happening, not just tactically, but psychologically. Because until you understand the root cause, you'll keep patching the symptom instead of fixing the system. So why does this keep happening? Why do smart, talented, successful business owners, people who have built real systems for their marketing, their operations, their finances, continue to treat referrals as an afterthought? The answer is rooted in how we mentally categorize referrals in the first place. In most service businesses, referrals live in a mental bucket called nice to have. They're celebrated when they happen. Oh great, a referral came in. But they're never engineered, they're never designed, they're never treated with the same intentionality as a paid ad campaign or a sales funnel or an onboarding sequence. And the reason for that is surprisingly simple. Referrals feel like they should be organic. There's a cultural belief in the service industry that if you just do great work, the referrals will come naturally, that asking for them too deliberately somehow cheapens the relationship or makes you look desperate. That belief is costing you a fortune. Here's the psychological reality. When you ask a client for a referral without giving them a compelling reason to act, without making it easy, without making it timely, without making it rewarding, you are essentially asking them to do your marketing for you for free on their own time with no clear benefit to themselves. And here's the key insight that most people miss. Your clients are not selfish. They're just busy. They're not refusing to refer you because they don't like you. They're not referring you because you haven't given them a mechanism that makes referring you feel natural, easy, and, most importantly, beneficial to them. This is the hero problem. When a client refers you to someone in their network, they are putting their reputation on the line. They are making an implicit promise. This person is good. I vouch for them. That is a significant social and professional risk. And if you haven't given them the tools, the language, and the confidence to make that introduction smoothly, if you haven't made them look like a hero in the process, then the friction of that risk is enough to stop them from acting. Think about the last time you referred someone to a friend or colleague. You probably did it because you were genuinely excited about the result. You had a specific person in mind, and you had an easy way to make the introduction. All three of those conditions had to be true simultaneously. Remove any one of them, and the referral doesn't happen. Now think about what you're asking your clients to do when you send that end of project referral request. You're asking them to generate their own excitement, which has faded, identify their own prospect, which requires mental effort, and figure out their own way to make the introduction, which creates friction. You've removed all three enabling conditions and replaced them with a vague ask. No wonder it doesn't work. The second reason this keeps happening is what I call the awkwardness tax. Most service providers feel genuinely uncomfortable asking for referrals. It feels salesy. It feels needy. It feels like you're admitting that your work didn't speak for itself, and that discomfort is actually a signal, but not the signal most people think it is. It's not a signal that you shouldn't ask for referrals. It's a signal that you haven't built a system that makes the ask feel natural. When a referral mechanism is properly designed, there is no awkward ask. The client doesn't feel put on the spot. You don't feel like you're begging for a favor. The referral happens as a natural byproduct of the client's own success, and they feel good about it because it benefits them directly. That's the difference between a manual referral request and a referral system. One relies on goodwill and timing, the other relies on design and incentive. Here's another layer to this problem that almost nobody talks about. The referral request, when done manually, is almost always positioned as a one-way transaction. You're asking the client to give you something, a lead, a connection, a warm introduction, without a clear, immediate, tangible benefit coming back to them. Now, some clients will do this anyway because they genuinely like you and want to support your business, but you are leaving the vast majority of your referral potential on the table because you're relying on altruism instead of alignment. The most powerful referral systems are built on mutual benefit. They're designed so that the client has a clear, compelling reason to refer, not just because they like you, but because referring you makes their own life better in some concrete way. Whether that's a financial incentive, an exclusive benefit, an enhanced service tier, or simply the social capital of being the person who introduced a great resource to their network, the mechanism has to give them something. And here's the beautiful part. When you build that mechanism correctly, the awkwardness disappears entirely because you're not asking for a favor anymore. You're offering an opportunity, and that is a completely different conversation. The third root cause, and this one is subtle, is timing blindness. Most businesses have no system for tracking where a client is in their emotional journey. They don't know when the peak excitement moment is happening. They don't have a trigger that fires at the exact right second to capture that energy and redirect it into a referral action. So they default to the end of the project, which is the worst possible time simply because it's the most obvious time. The project is done, the invoice is sent, so it feels logical to wrap up with a referral ask. But logic and psychology are not the same thing. And in the referral game, psychology wins every time. The fix is not complicated, but it does require you to stop thinking about referrals as something that happens after the work is done and start thinking about them as something that is engineered into the work itself at the moments of highest emotional impact, with the right incentive structure and with a mechanism that makes the client feel like a hero rather than a favor dispenser. That shift from manual to systematic, from reactive to proactive, from hoping to engineering is what we're going to build in the next section. I want you to close your eyes for a moment, or at least mentally step away from the day-to-day grind of your business and picture something different. Picture a version of your business where your calendar is never empty, where you wake up on Monday morning and there are already 2 or 3 qualified leads waiting in your inbox, people who reached out because someone they trust told them about you, people who already know what you do, already believe you're good at it, and are already pre-sold on working with you before you've said a single word. Picture a version of your business where you haven't run a paid ad in 6 months, but your pipeline is fuller than it's ever been, where your best clients are actively, enthusiastically recruiting for you. Not because you asked them to, not because they owe you a favor, but because your system has made it genuinely rewarding for them to do so. Picture a version of your business where the feast or famine cycle is a thing of the past, where you're not scrambling for clients at the end of every engagement because the next engagement is already lined up, referred in by the client you're currently serving at the exact moment they're most excited about the results you're delivering. That is not a fantasy. That is what a properly engineered referral system looks like in practice. And the businesses that have built it, the agencies, the consultants, the coaches, the service providers who have cracked this code, they operate in a fundamentally different reality than everyone else in their market. Let me paint the picture even more specifically because I want you to feel the contrast. Right now, in the old model, here's what your client journey looks like. You acquire a client, probably through outbound effort, a referral that happened by accident, or a lead that came in from some marketing activity you ran. You do the work, you deliver the results, you send the invoice, you ask for a referral, you get a polite non-answer, you move on, and then you start the whole acquisition cycle over again from scratch. Every new client requires the same amount of effort to acquire as the last one. Your business doesn't compound. Your pipeline doesn't build on itself. You're running on a treadmill, working hard, moving fast, but not actually going anywhere. Now picture the new model. You acquire a client, you do the work, but this time at the exact moment of peak excitement, the moment the results land, the moment the client feels the win, your system automatically triggers a referral mechanism. Not an awkward ask, not a follow-up email, a designed experience that makes the client feel celebrated, rewarded, and empowered to share their success with the people in their network. And because the mechanism is designed to benefit them, because referring you makes them look good, feel good, or receive something tangible, they act on it. Not all of them, but enough of them, consistently, predictably, month after month. And here's where the compounding begins. Each referred client goes through the same journey. Each one hits their own peak excitement moment. Each one triggers the same mechanism, and suddenly your pipeline isn't a straight line that you have to push forward manually. It's a flywheel that builds momentum on its own. This is what I mean when I say your clients become your most effective unpaid sales team, not because you've guilted them into it, not because you've begged them for favors, but because you've built a system that aligns their interests with yours, where sharing you is genuinely, tangibly good for them, and the quality of the leads that come through this system, incomparable. A referred prospect is not a cold lead. They're not someone who clicked an ad and filled out a form. They're someone who heard about you from a person they trust in a context that was relevant to a problem they're already trying to solve. They come in pre-sold. They come in with trust already established. They come in ready to say yes. The close rate on referred leads is, on average, 3 to 5 times higher than on cold leads. The sales cycle is shorter, the negotiation is lighter, the relationship starts from a position of trust rather than skepticism, and because they came in through a trusted connection, they're more likely to be a good fit, because your existing client already knows what you do and who you're best suited to help. Now let's talk about what this does to your identity as a business owner. When your pipeline is full of pre-sold referred prospects, something shifts in how you show up. You stop feeling desperate. You stop discounting. You stop taking on clients who aren't a great fit just because you need the revenue. You start operating from a position of abundance rather than scarcity. And that shift from scarcity to abundance changes everything. It changes how you price. It changes how you negotiate. It changes how you onboard clients and set expectations. It changes the quality of the work you do because you're working with people you actually want to work with on projects that actually excite you. The referral system is not just a lead generation tool, it is a business transformation tool. It is the mechanism that breaks the feast or famine cycle permanently. It is the asset that makes your business less dependent on your own constant effort and more dependent on the momentum you've already built. And here's the identity shift I want you to make right now before we get into the mechanics. Stop thinking of yourself as someone who does great work and hopes for referrals. Start thinking of yourself as someone who engineers referral systems as a core part of the client experience. The work is still great, the results are still real. But now, the system is designed to capture and amplify the impact of that work, to turn every successful engagement into a referral asset that keeps generating value long after the project is complete. Your clients are not just clients, they are nodes in a network, and every node has the potential to connect you to 3, 5, 10 more nodes if you give them the right mechanism to do so. That mechanism is what we're going to build in the final section. And I promise you, once you see how it works, you will never go back to the manual referral ask again. Over the last year, I've been obsessively focused on one problem. How do you remove the awkward ask from the referral process entirely, while simultaneously making referrals more frequent, more consistent, and more valuable? The answer I arrived at is what I now call the milestone incentive framework. And I want to walk you through exactly how it works, because once you understand the architecture, you'll see why it's so fundamentally different from anything you've tried before. The framework is built on 3 core principles: timing, incentive, and frictionless action. Let's break each one down. Principle 1. Timing, the milestone incentive. Framework is designed to trigger at the exact moment of peak client excitement, not at the end of the project, not in a follow-up email, but at the precise second the client experiences their win. How do you identify that moment? You map it in advance. Before the engagement even begins, you identify the 2 or 3 milestone moments in your client journey where the emotional impact is highest. For a marketing agency, that might be the moment the first campaign results come in. For a web designer, it might be the moment the site goes live. For a business consultant, it might be the moment the client hits a specific revenue target or closes a specific deal. These are your trigger points, and your referral mechanism fires at these trigger points automatically by design without you having to remember to do it or feel awkward about it. Here's a practical example. Let's say you're a social media agency and you've just delivered a campaign that generated a 40% increase in engagement for your client. That result lands on a Tuesday afternoon. Your client sends you an excited message. This is incredible. The numbers are through the roof. In the old model, you'd respond with something like, "So glad to hear it. Let me know if you know anyone who could use our services." And the moment passes. In the milestone incentive framework, that excited message triggers an automated sequence. Within minutes, your client receives a personalized message, or better yet, a short video that celebrates their win, quantifies the result, and presents them with a specific, compelling offer. Because you just hit this milestone, you've unlocked our Client Champion program. Here's what that means for you. And what does the Client Champion program offer? Something genuinely valuable, not a vague discount on future services. Something specific and immediate. Maybe it's a free strategy session for any business owner they refer. Maybe it's a revenue share on any referred client who signs. Maybe it's an exclusive upgrade to their own service package. Maybe it's early access to a new service you're launching. The specifics depend on your business model, but the principle is universal. The incentive has to be real, it has to be immediate, and it has to benefit the client in a way that is directly connected to the referral action. This is principle 2, incentive. The incentive is not a thank you gift after the fact. It is a proactive offer that is presented at the moment of peak excitement, designed to channel that excitement into a specific action. And here's the psychological mechanism at work. When your client is in that peak excitement state, when they're feeling the win, when they're proud of the result, when they're already thinking, "I need to tell someone about this," you give them a structured, rewarding way to act on that impulse. You remove the friction, you provide the language, you make the introduction easy, and you give them a tangible reason to do it now rather than later. The result is that the referral doesn't feel like a favor, it feels like an opportunity. And that is a completely different psychological experience for your client. Now let's talk about principle 3, frictionless action. This is where most referral programs fail, even the ones that have good timing and good incentives. They make the referral process too complicated. Your client should be able to make a referral in under 60 seconds. That means you need to give them a pre-written message they can send with one click. You need to give them a landing page or a booking link that is specifically designed for referred prospects, one that acknowledges the referral, speaks to the referred prospect's likely situation, and makes it easy for them to take the next step. You need to remove every possible point of friction between "I want to refer someone" and "I just referred someone," because friction kills action. Every extra step, every moment of uncertainty, every piece of information your client has to figure out on their own, each of those is a leak in your referral pipeline. The milestone incentive framework addresses all 3 of these principles simultaneously. It fires at the right moment, it offers the right incentive, and it makes the action frictionless. And because it's automated, because it's built into your client journey as a designed experience rather than a manual task, it happens consistently every time without you having to think about it. Let me give you the full picture of what this looks like in practice. Step 1. You map your client journey and identify your 2 or 3 peak excitement milestones. These are the moments where the emotional impact is highest and the referral potential is greatest. Step 2, you design your incentive structure. What will you offer clients who refer? Make it specific, make it valuable, and make it immediately accessible. The best incentives are ones that enhance the client's own experience with you, because that reinforces the relationship while rewarding the referral. Step 3. You build your trigger sequence. This is the automated message, email, or video that fires at the milestone moment. It celebrates the win, presents the incentive, and provides the frictionless referral mechanism. The pre-written message, the referral link, the booking page. Step 4. You build your referred prospect landing experience. This is the page or sequence that a referred prospect lands on when they follow the referral link. It should acknowledge the referral, speak directly to their situation, and make it easy for them to book a call or take the next step. Step 5. You track and optimize. You monitor which milestones are generating the most referrals, which incentives are driving the most action, and which referred prospects are converting at the highest rate. And you iterate based on that data. That's the framework. 5 steps, fully automated, designed to compound over time. Now, I want to address the question that I know is forming in your mind right now. This sounds great, but how do I actually build this? What tools do I use? How do I set up the automation? How do I design the incentive structure for my specific business? Those are exactly the right questions, and they're the questions I've spent the last year answering, not just in theory, but in practice, with real service businesses and agencies across a dozen different industries. The answer is that the specific implementation varies by business model, by client type, by service offering, and by the nature of the milestones in your particular client journey. There is no one-size-fits-all template, but there is a proven architecture. And that architecture is what the milestone incentive framework provides. Here's what I know for certain based on the businesses I've worked with that have implemented this framework. The ones who build it see a consistent, measurable increase in referral volume within the first 90 days. Not a doubling of referrals from 0 to 0, real compounding growth in referred leads, leads that close faster, pay more, and refer others in turn. The ones who don't build it, the ones who keep relying on the manual ask, the end of project email, the awkward favor request, they stay on the treadmill, they keep working hard, they keep delivering great results, and they keep wondering why their pipeline isn't growing the way it should. The difference is not talent, it is not the quality of the work, it is not the size of the network, the difference is the system. So here is my challenge to you. In the next 48 hours, I want you to do one thing. Map your client journey and identify your single highest peak excitement moment. The one moment where your client is most likely to say, "This is incredible." Write it down. Get specific. What does that moment look like? What does the client say or do? What result have they just experienced? That moment is the foundation of your milestone incentive framework. That is where your referral system begins. And once you've identified it, you have everything you need to start building the mechanism that turns that moment into a consistent, compounding source of pre-sold leads. The manual referral myth ends here. The era of hoping for referrals is over. It's time to engineer them. Referral marketing is one of the most powerful low-budget marketing strategies, and most businesses are not using it properly. Comment Kit to get the step-by-step referral campaign guide and launch your first system today. Your clients are ready to become your sales team. You just need to give them the system to do it. Let's build it. If this helped you, like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs more clients.